The stars stretched endlessly across the void, bright jewels scattered across the black canvas of space. Commander Elias Rourke sat in the captain's chair of the ISS Horizon, a long-range survey vessel built for exploration. Humanity had come far in just 2 centuries. From their small blue planet, they had stepped into the galaxy, joining the great council of alien races. Yet even with their new role in the interstellar community, many species still looked at humans as young and reckless. The Horizon was proof of their restless curiosity. It was not a warship but a ship of maps, sensors, and brave men and women who wanted to see what lay beyond the next star. Elias liked it that way. Warships made him uneasy, but exploration, that was something he believed humans were born for. On this mission, however, he felt something strange in his bones. For 3 weeks, the Horizon had been following faint energy readings near the edges of an uncharted nebula. The readings were faint, irregular, like whispers from the past. His science officer, Dr. Sienna Hale, had insisted the anomaly was worth chasing. Now, at the edge of the nebula, the whispers grew stronger. The bridge crew worked silently, eyes fixed on their consoles, waiting for the mystery to reveal itself. "Captain," Sienna said at last, her voice calm but tense, "we are picking up a massive structure ahead. Metal alloys, far larger than any known station." Elias leaned forward. "A station? Out here?" She shook her head. "No, it's moving. Or it was once. Captain, it's a ship." A low murmur swept across the bridge. A ship this deep in unexplored space made no sense. There were no colonies here, no trade routes, no reason for any vessel to be drifting in this region. "Put it on screen," Elias ordered. The nebula parted like mist as the Horizon's scanners pierced through the cosmic fog. And then it appeared, enormous, silent, ancient. The ship was half the size of a moon, its hull scarred by time but still intact. Massive cannons jutted from its flanks, and its dark silhouette dwarfed the horizon like a mountain rising from the sea. The crew stared in silence. Even Elias had to catch his breath. "That's no alien design," Sienna whispered. "The alloys. The construction—" "Captain, it's human!" The bridge filled with stunned voices. "Impossible. No record existed of humanity ever building something like this. Their largest ships were powerful, but nowhere near this scale. This was not just a battleship, it was a dreadnought, a weapon of war built on a level no one thought humans had ever reached." "Bring us closer," Elias said at last, his voice steady though his heart raced. As the Horizon approached, the strange dreadnought loomed larger and larger, its surface etched with markings. Many were unreadable, eroded by centuries, but near the main hull the symbol was clear, the flag of Earth, faded but unmistakable. The discovery hit them like a thunderbolt. Somehow, impossibly, this was a human creation. Hours later, the senior staff gathered in the briefing room. The lights dimmed as the holographic projection of the ship rotated above the table. "This vessel is at least 400 years old," Sienna explained, her hands moving through the controls, "but it is still active. We detected a faint reactor signal deep within the hull. It should have gone dark centuries ago, yet it continues to run." Lieutenant Marlowe, the ship's tactical officer, frowned. "How do we not know about this?" "There is nothing in the archives. No historical mention, no construction logs. Maybe it was classified," Elias suggested, but even as he spoke, he doubted it. A ship like this could not be hidden. It was too massive, too costly, too significant. Dr. Hale's voice lowered. "It is as if someone erased it from history." The thought unsettled them all. Who would bury the existence of such a vessel? And more importantly, why? "Captain," Marlowe said firmly, "we need to inform the Council. If the aliens learn that we have been hiding something like this—" "We didn't hide it," Elias interrupted. "We didn't even know it existed. But you're right. Once word spreads, the Council will come, and they'll want answers." The crew fell silent. Everyone knew how the Galactic Council viewed humanity. They were tolerated, sometimes respected, but never trusted with too much power. If the Council saw this dreadnought, they would demand control. But Elias could not ignore the strange feeling stirring inside him. The ship was calling to them, almost as if it wanted to be found. The first boarding mission was small, just a handful of humans, armed not with weapons but scanners and lights. Elias watched their progress from the bridge as they entered through a vast hangar bay, its doors half open, frozen in place for centuries. The interior was dark, silent, except for the echoes of their boots. Dust floated in the airless void, disturbed only by their movements. The corridors were massive, built to house thousands of crew, but the ship was empty, as if it had been abandoned in haste. Strange automated lights flickered weakly as the boarding team moved deeper. "Captain," Sienna's voice came through the comms. "The ship is alive. The systems, they're waking up as we walk." Suddenly, the dreadnought felt less like a tomb and more like a slumbering giant. Hours later, the team returned with fragments of data. The dreadnought's name, though heavily corrupted, translated roughly as Eternal Resolve. Its databanks were damaged, but a few records remained. What they found shocked them all. The Eternal Resolve was built in secret by early human colonies during a time of crisis. It had been designed as the ultimate defense against something called the Swarm. Yet no record of this enemy remained in modern history. It was as though an entire war had been erased. Even stranger, the databanks hinted that the ship had never fired a shot. It had been hidden here deliberately, waiting, as though its time had not yet come. That night, Elias stood alone at the observation deck, staring at the dreadnought through the nebula haze. The galaxy was full of mysteries, but this one was different. This was not alien. This was human. And if the records were true, it meant that humanity's past was not as simple as they had believed. The questions swirled endlessly. Why had this ship been hidden? Who were the enemies it had been meant to fight? And what did it mean that the reactor still lived after centuries? For the first time in his career, Elias felt the weight of destiny pressing down on him. The dreadnought had been found, and he knew deep in his heart that history was about to change. The Eternal Resolve floated in the quiet mist of the nebula, a dark colossus waiting in silence. To the crew of the ISS Horizon, the discovery felt both thrilling and dangerous. For days they had been sending small teams inside the ancient dreadnought, uncovering piece by piece the secrets hidden within its enormous hull. Commander Elias Rourke spent most of his hours studying the reports. Each day brought new questions, and the answers only deepened the mystery. "Captain," Dr. Sienna Hale said one morning as she walked into the briefing room, her eyes bright with curiosity, "we managed to access one of the auxiliary data cores." Elias turned, his interest sharp. "What did you find?" Sienna placed a holodisk on the table, and an image shimmered to life, a blueprint of the ship's main systems. "This vessel is centuries old," she explained, pointing at the glowing diagrams, "yet its technology is far beyond anything we have today. Look here. Stealth generators, plasma cannons with energy yields 10 times greater than current warships," and her finger traced a glowing chamber near the center of the ship. "This reactor is unlike anything in our database. It has been running for 400 years without refueling. That should be impossible." Elias studied the projection. The more he looked, the more he felt the weight of history pressing down. "If this is real, it means humanity once had knowledge we no longer possess." Lieutenant Marlowe, who had been listening quietly, finally spoke. "Or knowledge that someone wanted us to forget." The words hung heavy in the room. None of them wanted to say it aloud, but the thought was clear. This dreadnought had been erased from history on purpose. The exploration teams pressed deeper into the ship. They walked through cavernous hangars, long barracks, and endless corridors wide enough to drive tanks through. Every part of the ship was massive, built for war on a scale that modern humans had never imagined. In one section, the boarding team discovered a chamber lined with pods. At first, they thought they had found cryogenic stasis units, but closer inspection revealed them to be control interfaces, seats designed for human operators who could merge their neural signals directly with the ship's systems. "Captain," Sienna reported through the comms, "this vessel was never meant to be commanded by a single person. It required hundreds of human minds working together. The interfaces respond only to human biology. No alien could control this ship." Elias felt a chill run down his spine. That detail would not go unnoticed once the Galactic Council learned of it. Later, during a meeting on the horizon, the tension was clear. "We have to inform the Council," Marlowe said firmly. "If we try to hide this discovery and they find out, humanity will look like we are keeping weapons in secret. They will think we are planning something. And what if we tell them?" Sienna countered. "Do you think they will allow us to keep it?" "No, they'll strip it from us piece by piece until nothing remains. This ship is human history. It belongs to us." Voices rose around the table. Some agreed with Sienna, others with Marlowe. The debate grew heated until Elias raised his hand for silence. "We cannot rush this," he said. "For now we continue exploring. We learn everything we can. When the council comes, and they will, we must be ready to defend the truth." The crew nodded reluctantly. It was a fragile balance, but Elias knew they could not afford mistakes. On the 5th day of exploration, something unexpected happened. As the boarding team entered the command bridge of the dreadnought, the ship came alive. The vast control room lit up with pale blue light, consoles humming softly. A deep vibration ran through the deck like the heartbeat of a giant. "Captain, the systems are activating on their own." Sienna's voice crackled over the comms. "We didn't touch anything." Elias hurried to the viewing deck of the horizon. Through the nebula mist, he saw lights flicker along the dreadnought's hull. The ship looked as if it were waking from a long sleep. "Get the team out of there," Elias ordered quickly. But before they could withdraw, the dreadnought's central screen lit up, displaying words in ancient but recognizable English. "Human presence detected. Authentication confirmed." The bridge of the horizon went silent. The message repeated, this time accompanied by a low voice, synthetic, ancient, but still clear. "Awaiting orders. The enemy will return. Purpose incomplete." Sienna's voice trembled as she translated. "Captain, the ship thinks it's still on its mission. It's waiting for humans to lead it." That night, Elias walked the corridors of the horizon, unable to sleep. The words echoed in his mind. "The enemy will return." He found himself at the observation window again, staring at the massive silhouette of the dreadnought. It was beautiful and terrifying all at once. Marlowe joined him quietly. "You don't look happy, sir. Most captains would celebrate discovering the most powerful warship in human history." Elias shook his head. "Power always comes with a price. Whatever this ship was built to fight, it wasn't small. And if it's right, if the enemy does return, then we are standing at the edge of something far bigger than us." Marlowe crossed his arms. "Then maybe this is what we were meant to find. Maybe the past left this gift because it knew we would need it." Elias didn't reply, but deep inside he felt the truth of those words. The following day, Sienna called him to the laboratory. "Captain, I've pieced together fragments from the databanks. It's not complete, but listen to this." A projection shimmered above the table, images of stars, planets, and then destruction. Swarms of dark shapes moved across the skies, blotting out light, consuming ships and cities alike. "The files call them the Vorak Swarm," Sienna explained. "They were not like the Council races. They were something else, something ancient. According to these records, they destroyed entire civilizations. The dreadnought was built in secret as a last defense if the swarm ever reached Earth." The hologram faded, leaving the room in silence. "Why don't we know about this?" Elias asked. Sienna's face was pale. "I think someone erased it from our history, maybe to protect us, maybe to prevent fear. I don't know. But this ship remembers." Elias felt the weight of destiny settle heavier than ever. Humanity had stumbled into the galaxy, eager and bold, believing themselves newcomers in a peaceful council. But the truth was different. Long before they joined the stars, humans had already fought monsters and prepared weapons to fight them again. And now, that weapon had returned to them. That evening, Elias gathered the senior crew. "We have a choice," he said firmly. "We can call the council now and let them take this ship from us. Or we can learn its secrets first, understand why it was built, and decide what to do with it ourselves. If this Vorak swarm is real, if they are still out there, then this ship might be the only thing that can stop them." The room was silent. Then slowly, one by one, the officers nodded. They would keep the secret, at least for now. Elias knew it was dangerous. He knew the council would not forgive them if they discovered the truth. But in his heart he also knew this. The eternal resolve was more than a relic. It was a message from their ancestors. A warning, and perhaps a promise. The nebula glowed faintly outside the windows of the ISS horizon. The ancient dreadnought, Eternal Resolve, floated silently beside them, its hull alive with flickering lights that had not shone for centuries. For days, the humans had explored the ship, collecting fragments of its history. Every discovery seemed to reveal the same truth. This warship had been built for a threat no one remembered. Commander Elias Rourke stood on the bridge, staring at the massive silhouette through the viewport. He felt both pride and unease. Pride because this ship was proof of humanity's forgotten greatness. Unease because the Dreadnought's AI had spoken words that haunted him. The enemy will return. That same night, alarms rang across the horizon. The crew rushed to their stations as the ship's sensors detected faint but unusual energy signatures from deep space. "Captain, long-range scans picking up movement near Sector 8-7, reported Ensign Lyra, her voice tight with tension. "Multiple contacts. Unknown configuration." Elias stepped forward quickly. "Put them on screen." The main display lit up, showing distant flickers against the darkness. At first they looked like stars, but then the flickers moved together, shifting as one. A cluster of dark shapes grew clearer. Dr. Sienna Hale leaned closer to her console. "That's not a fleet. It looks more like a swarm." The word chilled the bridge. Swarm. The same term that had appeared in the Dreadnought's old databanks. Elias gripped the arm of his chair. "How many?" "Too many for our sensors to count at this distance," Lyra replied. "But at least hundreds. Maybe more." The crew exchanged nervous glances. Humanity had faced wars before, but nothing like this. The images from the Dreadnought's archives returned to their minds. Endless black clouds consuming everything in their path. By morning, the swarm signatures had grown stronger. They were moving with frightening speed, heading toward the outer edges of human-colonized space. In the council chambers light years away, panic spread. The Horizon's reports were transmitted and the alien representatives reacted with fear and suspicion. The Yalari ambassador, a tall, crystalline being, spoke first. "You humans have awoken something that should have stayed buried. This is your doing." Elias, who was representing his crew via holographic link, remained calm. "We didn't awaken anything. We only found what your council forgot or chose to forget. These creatures, the Vorak swarm, are real, and if we don't act together, they will destroy us all." The chamber erupted in arguments. Many aliens called for retreat, abandoning the threatened colonies. Others demanded to see the Dreadnought for themselves. One voice cut through the noise. The Xenar representative, a serpent-like being with cold golden eyes. "If this eternal resolve exists, it must be dismantled. Humanity cannot be trusted with such power." The words stung, but Elias expected them. The Council had always doubted humanity's maturity. To them, the Dreadnought was not salvation, but a weapon too dangerous for human hands. Elias ended the session with a firm statement. "Whether the Council stands with us or not, humanity will not abandon its people. If these Vorak are coming, we will face them." Back aboard the Horizon, the crew gathered in the war room. A hologram of the approaching swarm filled the air. Hundreds of dark insect-like vessels moving in perfect unison. "They're not ships," Sienna whispered. "They're living machines. Part biology, part technology. That's why the Council feared them. They consume and convert everything they touch." Lieutenant Marlowe crossed his arms. "Which means normal fleets won't stop them. But maybe the Dreadnought can." The eyes of the crew turned to Elias. The choice was clear but heavy. To awaken the Dreadnought fully meant stepping into unknown danger. It might even mean declaring independence from the Council. Elias spoke slowly, weighing each word. "We didn't find this ship by accident. It was waiting for us. Our ancestors built it for this very enemy. If we do nothing, humanity will be overrun. If we take command, we might stand a chance." The decision was made. Over the next days, engineers and technicians worked tirelessly to restore the Dreadnought's systems. Generators hummed back to life. Weapons long silent powered up with a low growl. Vast hangars opened, revealing fighter craft older than modern designs but still deadly. What shocked them most was the AI. It communicated more clearly now, responding to their commands with an almost human tone. "Captain Elias Rourke," the voice said one evening, echoing through the command deck of the Eternal Resolve. "You are authorized. Humanity has returned. Purpose incomplete. Enemy detected." Elias looked around at his officers. Some were filled with awe, others with fear. But in all of them he saw determination. The swarm drew closer. First reports came from outlying colonies. Communications cut, mining stations gone silent. Ships sent to investigate never returned. The Vorak were real and they were advancing fast. The Galactic Council froze in indecision. Some members ordered their fleets to retreat while others argued endlessly. Humanity could not wait. On the day the swarm reached the first human colony, The eternal resolve was ready. The colony of Vera 4 had been peaceful, a mining world with a few thousand settlers. But when the swarm came, peace ended. Dark, insect-like ships rained down from orbit, tearing through defenses as if they were paper. The colony's distress call barely lasted minutes before being silenced. Then, from the nebula, the dreadnought emerged. The eternal resolve moved like a giant waking from a dream, its engines burning with renewed fire. Its hull glowed with lines of blue energy as weapons came online. Enemy detected, the AI intoned. Engaging. What followed would be remembered forever. The swarm rushed forward, hundreds of living ships moving as one. The dreadnought's cannons roared. Lances of energy cut through the blackness, slicing the swarm apart. Whole clusters of Vorak vessels vanished in brilliant explosions. On the bridge, Elias stood tall. Target their cores. Don't waste firepower. Make every shot count. The crew obeyed, their hands moving quickly across the controls. The dreadnought responded with deadly precision, its ancient systems working flawlessly. For the first time, the swarm faltered. They twisted and shifted, but their unbreakable unity wavered under the dreadnought's fury. After hours of battle, the skies above Vera 4 were littered with burning wrecks. The colony survived barely. For the first time in centuries, the Vorak had been stopped. When the news spread, humanity celebrated. But among the council, fear grew deeper. The Xenar representative's voice echoed through secret transmissions. Do you see now? The humans wield their dreadnought like conquerors. Today it is the swarm. Tomorrow it could be us. But the humans did not care about alien whispers. For the settlers of Vera 4, the dreadnought was not a threat, it was salvation. And for Elias and his crew, the message was clear. The swarm was only beginning. The war their ancestors had prepared for was here at last. And humanity, against all doubt, would fight it. The galaxy had always seemed vast, endless, and indifferent. Humanity had explored it with curiosity, hoping to find allies and understanding. Yet the response from older species was often skepticism, even disdain. Now, standing at the edge of catastrophe, humanity faced a test unlike any other: the return of the Vorak swarm, ancient destroyers of civilizations. At the center of humanity's hope floated the eternal resolve. Its massive hull shimmered with renewed energy, powerful engines ready, weapons online, and its AI now fully cooperative. Commander Elias Rourke looked at his officers and crew with pride. They had come far in days that felt like lifetimes. From explorers, they had become warriors. The first step was organization. Humanity could no longer act as scattered colonies and small fleets. The council hesitated, debating strategy while the swarm approached relentlessly. Elias called a summit aboard the Eternal Resolve. Representatives from human colonies from Earth to the Outer Rim gathered in the Grand Command Hall. Today, Elias began, his voice firm and steady, we are no longer separate worlds. We are one people, one fleet, one defense. The swarm comes and we will meet it together. The officers and leaders nodded, their faces reflecting determination, fear, and hope. Every voice added strength to the declaration. For the first time in generations, humanity moved as one. Engineering teams worked tirelessly to bring the Eternal Resolve to peak readiness. Ancient weapon systems hummed as engineers repaired decades-old circuits and recalibrated targeting systems. Plasma cannons larger than any modern weapons glowed ominously, ready to unleash destruction. Fighter bays opened, revealing sleek combat ships built centuries ago, still perfectly functional. Yet it was not just technology that would win the coming battles. It was humans themselves. Pilots trained in modern craft learned the ancient fighter designs, merging centuries of experience with forgotten power. Soldiers and engineers discovered that the dreadnought could anticipate their thoughts, responding to subtle commands and even offering suggestions for strategy. Captain, Lieutenant Marlowe said one evening, staring at the projection of the swarm approaching through deep space, the dreadnought isn't just a ship. It's a teacher. Every move it makes shows us new ways to fight, new ways to survive. Elias nodded. It trusts us. We need to trust it in return. The Vorak were coming faster now, their approach almost beyond detection until it was nearly too late. Entire sectors fell silent. Systems once brimming with life and trade now waited, holding their breath. The first major engagement took place near the human outer colonies. The swarm approached a small system of mining worlds ready to consume everything. The Eternal Resolve and a fleet of modern human ships arrived to intercept. The dreadnought moved like a giant guardian, positioning itself between the swarm and the colonies. Its cannons fired in precise coordinated bursts, striking down clusters of the Vorak as they approached. Fighters launched from hangars, weaving through the swarm with skill and courage. Elias stood on the bridge, hands on the rail, watching the battle unfold. "Hold formation. Don't break ranks." The swarm adapted, shifting its living ships with frightening intelligence. But humans adapted faster. Pilots, engineers, and tacticians worked together with the dreadnought, finding weaknesses in the swarm's structure. Plasma lances tore through hulls. Energy shields deflected attacks, and human ingenuity guided every move. After hours of fierce combat, the swarm began to falter. Small victories became larger ones as humans pushed forward, reclaiming territory and protecting the colonies. Communication lines buzzed with relief. Colonies reported survivors. Miners, settlers, and scientists who had feared annihilation cheered as human ships arrived to defend them. Elias allowed himself a small smile. Humanity was fighting back, and for the first time many began to believe they could win. But victory was not easy. Casualties were high. Ships of every size were lost. Fighters fell in waves, and humans felt the weight of centuries of unpreparedness. Yet through it all, the dreadnought stood unyielding, a symbol of human resolve. In the council chambers, aliens watched in disbelief. The Xenar and Yllari were among the most vocal critics, but even they could not deny the results. Humans, once considered minor participants, now commanded the battlefield with skill, bravery, and power unmatched by any other race. "This is extraordinary," admitted a Yllari commander in a private session. They are leading the fleet using technology none of us understood." The Xenar representative remained cautious. Yes, but their confidence could become arrogance. "If we allow this ship to remain under human command, we may be giving them too much influence." Meanwhile, humanity did not wait for approval. They had no choice. Survival depended on action, not politics. Elias convened another meeting aboard the dreadnought to prepare for the next strike. The swarm was moving toward the galactic core, aiming for densely populated systems. "We will split our forces," Elias explained, tracing their strategy on a holographic map. "The dreadnought will lead the main strike. We'll coordinate with regional fleets to create traps and ambushes. This is our chance to show the swarm that humanity cannot be defeated." Sienna added, "The dreadnought's AI has begun analyzing swarm patterns. It predicts their movements, but we must act decisively. Hesitation will cost lives." Marlowe looked around at the assembled leaders. "This is more than a battle. This is humanity proving that we can rise when the galaxy doubts us. Every system we save, every victory we achieve, it shows that humans belong among the stars." Elias nodded silently. He felt the truth of that statement deep within. Humanity was more than a young race. They were survivors, fighters, and innovators, capable of rising to challenges the galaxy had never seen before. The next engagement was larger than anything humanity had faced. The swarm had adapted, learning from previous battles. Hundreds of Vorak ships moved in coordinated attacks, their dark forms blotting out stars. But the Eternal Resolve led the human fleet with unmatched precision. The dreadnought's massive cannons unleashed torrents of energy, each shot cutting through clusters of swarm ships. Human fighters darted through enemy lines, using new tactics inspired by the ship's centuries-old designs. Engineers remotely guided damaged vessels back into formation, keeping the fleet fighting at full strength. Hours of relentless battle passed. Humans coordinated like never before, their creativity and courage amplified by the dreadnought's ancient systems. Slowly, the swarm began to break apart, their living ships no longer moving in perfect unison. Elias watched the destruction unfold on the main bridge screen. His voice was calm but firm as he issued orders. "Focus fire on the central nodes. This is the heart of the swarm. Hit it and the rest will collapse." Plasma beams converged on the swarm's core. The explosion was enormous, lighting the void with brilliant energy. Swarm ships tumbled helplessly, many consumed in the firestorm. When the battle ended, silence filled the galaxy. The human fleet had survived. The colonies were safe for now. The dreadnought, though damaged in places, had emerged unscathed. Elias allowed himself to exhale. He knew this was only one step in a much larger war, but the message was clear. Humanity could rise against impossible odds and survive. Their courage, ingenuity, and unity had turned the tide. Across human space, reports of victory spread. Settlers cheered. Colonists celebrated. Every transmission carried hope that had been missing for centuries. Even the Council could not ignore the result. Aliens who had doubted humanity now looked with respect, though some still worried about what power the humans had awakened. That night, Elias stood alone on the observation deck, gazing at the stars. The dreadnought floated beside them, a guardian, a teacher, and a symbol of human resilience. Sienna joined him quietly. "Captain, we've changed something, humanity. We've shown the galaxy that we are more than they expected." Elias nodded slowly. "Yes, and it's only the beginning. The swarm is still out there. They will return stronger, but now we are ready." Marlowe came up behind them, placing a hand on Elias's shoulder. "They underestimated us. That was their mistake. Humanity rises when it counts, and we will continue to rise." Elias allowed a small smile. He knew the next battles would be harder. He knew the sacrifices would be greater. But for the first time in centuries, humanity had proven what they were capable of. The eternal resolve had given them the power. Humanity had given it purpose. Together they would fight. Together they would survive. And for the galaxy, the lesson was clear. Humans could not be dismissed, underestimated, or forgotten. The galaxy shivered in anticipation. Word of the Vorak swarm's return had spread like wildfire, and the human colonies braced for what could be the greatest threat they had ever faced. The Eternal Resolve floated at the center of a vast fleet of human ships, its massive silhouette a beacon of hope and power. Commander Elias Rourke stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the screens showing the approaching swarm. Every crew member knew the stakes. This was not just a battle for survival, it was a battle for humanity's place in the galaxy. "Captain," Lieutenant Marlowe said, his voice tense. "They're moving faster than before. Entire waves are approaching at once. Sensors indicate hundreds of thousands of vessels." Elias swallowed. The scale of the swarm was staggering, yet he felt no fear. Only resolve. Humanity had come too far to turn back now. "Prepare all systems," Elias ordered. "We fight as one fleet. Every ship, every cannon, every fighter will follow the Eternal Resolve. Today, humanity shows the galaxy what we are capable of." The swarm entered the human-controlled system in a rolling black wave, a storm of moving vessels that blocked the stars. The dreadnought's AI spoke in its deep, commanding voice. "Captain Elias Rourke, threat level critical. Enemy mass beyond standard engagement capacity. Recommend decisive action." Elias stepped forward. "Then we give them decisive action." The dreadnought's engines flared to life. Its massive cannons powered up, glowing with energy so intense that the void around it seemed to vibrate. Fighters launched from the hangars in thousands, sleek human designs mixed with ancient warships guided by both pilots and AI. "Target the outer swarm first," Elias commanded. "Break their formation." The battle began with a roar. Plasma beams tore through clusters of Vorak ships, each blast precise, each strike calculated. Fighters darted through the chaos, weaving between the swarm's living vessels, striking weak points as they appeared. The Vorak responded with lethal speed. Ships twisted, adapted, and attacked in waves. Every human vessel that fell was replaced by another, guided by tactics learned from the dreadnought. Elias watched the main screens, issuing orders rapidly. "Concentrate fire on the central nodes. Protect the colonies at all costs." The Eternal Resolve responded instantly. Its cannons fired in perfect synchronization, cutting swaths through the swarm. Ancient AI protocols predicted enemy movements, allowing human pilots to intercept before the swarm could adapt. Hours passed, and the battle raged across light years. The swarm pushed relentlessly, yet humanity did not falter. Each loss was met with ingenuity. Ships coordinated, energy shields shifted, fighters sacrificed themselves to protect key vessels. The dreadnought's massive hull became a moving fortress, guiding humans through the chaos. At one critical moment, a massive cluster of Vorak ships attempted to flank the fleet, threatening the human rear. "Divert all firepower to Sector 9, Elias shouted. "Do not let them break our line." The dreadnought responded instantly, turning its colossal guns with precision. Streams of energy tore through the Vorak, fracturing their formation. Human fighters surged forward in unison, striking the weakened nodes. Slowly, the flank was neutralized. Marlowe turned to Elias, breathless. "Captain." "The fleet is holding. We're holding them." Elias allowed himself a small, steady smile. "We are not just holding. We are winning." The climax of the battle came near the galactic core. The swarm had concentrated its forces into a massive formation, a living fortress of dark energy and twisted metal. The Eternal Resolve moved forward, its hull glowing brighter than ever. "Engines blazing, Captain," Sienna Hale said. "The dreadnought sensors detect a core, a massive living node controlling the swarm." "This is the heart of their attack," Elias nodded. "Target it. Full power. Everyone aim for the heart." The dreadnought unleashed everything it had. Cannons fired in waves of energy. Fighters launched coordinated assaults, and support ships poured laser fire onto the core. The swarm fought back with unmatched fury, but human tactics, bravery, and the dreadnought's ancient precision proved unstoppable. Finally, the core exploded in a brilliant flash, a wave of energy that shattered the swarm's cohesion. Ships tumbled helplessly, many consumed in the explosion. The surviving Vorak fled into deep space, disorganized and broken. Silence fell across the battlefield. For a moment, no one breathed. Then slowly, cheers erupted from every human vessel. The colonies were safe, the swarm was defeated, and humanity had triumphed against a foe older and stronger than any they had faced. Elias allowed himself to relax, leaning on the rail of the Eternal Resolve's bridge. The dreadnought's AI spoke once more, its voice calm and steady. "Threat neutralized. Mission objective complete." "Humanity has proven capable," Sienna smiled. "It actually said that. It acknowledged us." Marlowe laughed quietly. "After centuries of silence, it finally respects us." Elias looked out at the stars, his heart full. Humanity had faced extinction and risen above it. The dreadnought had not just been a weapon, it had been a symbol, a test and a guide. And humanity had passed. The Galactic Council convened shortly after. Representatives from countless species watched as humanity reported their victory. Many who had doubted them now spoke in awe. The swarm, they realized, had been a threat not just to humans but to the galaxy itself. "You have changed history," said the Yalari ambassador, his crystalline form reflecting the council chamber's light. "By your courage and unity you have proven that humanity is not a minor race. You are a power to be reckoned with." The Xenar representative remained cautious, but even he could not deny the truth. "This is impressive. Humanity has shown resilience and strategy unlike any other species. We underestimated you." Elias replied simply, "We only did what any species would do to survive. But humanity will not forget its past, nor will it allow history to repeat itself." Back aboard the Eternal Resolve, the crew celebrated quietly. The ship, though battered, had survived. Its ancient hull, its centuries-old systems had proven the worth of human skill and determination. Pilots, engineers, and soldiers gathered in the main hall, a sense of pride and relief filling the space. Elias stood among them, looking at the young and old, the experienced and the inexperienced. "We did this together," he said. "This ship was built for us by our ancestors, and we honored their legacy. Humanity rises not because of power, but because of courage, creativity, and the will to fight for what is right." The crew nodded, some with tears, some with laughter. The galaxy had witnessed humanity at its best. Weeks later, the Eternal Resolve drifted in orbit above Earth, its engines quiet but ready. Children on the planet looked up at the sky, dreaming of the stars and heroes who had protected them. Colonies across the galaxy repaired, rebuilt, and celebrated the courage of humans who refused to be forgotten. Elias stood once more on the observation deck, reflecting on the journey. The dreadnought had been lost for centuries, but it had returned at the right time, a bridge between past and future. Humanity had grown stronger, wiser, and more united. He thought of the swarm, of battles fought and won, of the countless sacrifices that had been made. And he knew one truth above all: humans were capable of greatness, not because of technology, not because of numbers, but because of their spirit. Their creativity, resilience, and courage had changed history forever. The Eternal Resolve was more than a ship. It was a symbol. And humanity, together determined and unyielding, was ready for whatever the galaxy might bring next. For in a universe of countless stars and ancient civilizations, one truth remained clear: humans could rise above any challenge, and the galaxy would never forget it.